In episodes 1 to 5, we saw how history is created, a documentation that society perceives as representative of its understanding of events. We saw how a pyramid of consequences proves the truth of a historical narrative. The authenticating factor of history is the society, the people, the group. If a book is written during or close to the events and provides a means for verification, it strengthens its credibility. How do we know if a book was written during the events it describes? We have 3 methods, each sufficient to determine the dating of a book. In episode 4, we saw the model of self-reference, consequences stemming from the composition of a certain type of book. In episodes 11 and 18, we examined the historical examination model to date a book based on the historical conditions reflected in it. In this episode, we will see a third way to prove the time of writing of a book, through historical continuity. The documentation of the book and its influence throughout the period from its writing to our time proves its existence. Even if the book does not entail consequences and even if its text does not indicate any dating, its documentation over time proves its existence. How do we know Plato lived and wrote his books about 2,400 years ago? There is a historical sequence documenting him. Aristotle, who lived after him, mentions him and his ideas. Even 500 years after him, his name is mentioned in philosophical literature and so on. What can we expect from historical literature created within a nation or a specific society to maximize its historical credibility? Here are 6 possible requirements. If fulfilled, it's hard to doubt the authenticity of the historical tradition. 1. Organic continuation of the society from the time of the events. 2. Literature that society attributes status and credibility to. 3. Literature from various sources within society. 4. Literature from different facets of life. 5. Absence of weak or missing links, full coverage. 6. Synchronized literature. And let's detail in relation to the Torah. 1. Organic continuation of society from the time of events. History passes from nation to nation. Our knowledge of Persian history, for example, does not pass through modern Iran. The historical information passed from one nation to another. We also have histories of nations that have been annihilated, and even some information about the history of the Inca, despite their extermination by the Spanish conquerors. As long as there is a human link between the events and the reporting nation, history is taken seriously. But when history passes in a historical sequence within the same nation, it has much more significant validity. We are familiar with every stage of writing history to our day. The history of the American people, for example, is homogeneously transferred within the nation and will be clear even in 2,000 years if the current form continues.